One thing I think is important about being in a relationship is learning how to read the room.
Are you saying that because that just happened?
It just happened.
It absolutely did.
When you come home, take a beat, see if they're doing something, engrossed in something, working or whatever it is. It's important not to be insensitive to the energy that's already established in that room, and vice versa. It's not just for men, it's not just for women. It's just something that you should probably think about when you come home to see your other half, or when you see your other half, wherever they may be.
Towanda Braxton didn't just go live. She set fire to years of whispers, accusations, and hidden truths. What began as a casual stream with fans expecting light jokes, playful banter with her husband, maybe even a few behind-the-scenes memories, instantly turned into something far more explosive. She looked directly into the camera, her voice steady but cutting, and dropped the words no one ever thought they'd hear. Towanda exposed the truth about Traci Braxton, Toni Braxton, and Tamar Braxton, and in that moment, fans realized this wasn't entertainment anymore. This was a reckoning. The first blow came when Towanda addressed the long-standing claim that the sisters mistreated Traci. During the show, for years, social media comments painted Traci as a forgotten Braxton, sidelined, humiliated, and ignored. Blogs replayed her tears, her walkouts, her quiet silences, while the others dominated conversations. The story was cemented. Traci was a sister they never valued. But Towanda leaned forward, her tone sharp, and challenged the accusation head-on. "Give me an example," she demanded. "Show me receipts. Tell me when I personally treated Traci bad." That one line sliced through the noise. Fans who had screamed for years suddenly had no proof against her. And in that instant, she wasn't just defending herself. She was exposing how easily the internet spins stories until they become untouchable truths. Still, her eyes carry pain.
Hi,
Hello.
Mr. Hall.
What's up, Miss Hall?
Mrs. Hall. Mrs.
Oh, my bad.
Hey, Virgo. I saw Virgo on here. Hey, Tamar Lamb.
Damn lambs on here?
Yes. Hi. So yes, I was telling you the last time that we went live, Canada. Yep. Last time we went live, we were talking about how we're married. So
Yes.
hello everyone. We're just gonna hop on here just for a few minutes, just to get you guys ready for tomorrow. Because tomorrow we have an announcement that we're gonna be making tomorrow, live here at 6 o'clock Eastern time, and we're so excited to talk about things.
Because regardless of proof, perception was already sealed. Traci's passing left a wound so raw that fans cling to every memory, turning arguments into symbols of neglect. Towanda's demand for receipts wasn't only self-defense. It was her desperate attempt to reclaim her love for Traci, to separate her reality from the cold version painted by producers. And just as the lift seemed to settle, she dropped a second bomb, editing. The word itself shook the Braxton fandom. Towanda explained how producers manipulated footage, stretched reactions, and twisted moments until reality blurred with fiction. She used Toni as her example. "Remember the prom episode?" she asked. Toni said we're the prom at? Maybe 3 or 4 times. But in the final cut, it looked like she said it 100 times. That's editing. The fans who had laughed and replayed that moment suddenly realized those laughs had been manufactured. What they thought was authentic became evidence of a family image distorted for ratings. It wasn't just a joke, it was a blueprint. If Toni's sighs could be looped, how much of Tamar's screaming was exaggerated? How many of Traci's tears were replayed to make her look weaker? How many of Towanda's silences were rearranged to make her appear cold? The live peeled back the curtain on reality TV itself, and suddenly, the audience was forced to question, was the Braxton chaos ever real? Or had it always been an edited circus? Towanda's calm turned razor sharp when she reminded viewers, we're not a cast. We're a family. That single sentence hit like thunder. Unlike other reality shows where strangers clock in and out, the Braxtons couldn't escape each other. If they fought on camera, they fought off camera too. If they cried on set, the pain followed them home. When the cameras stop, the arguments don't. We still have to pick up the phone the next day. With that, Towanda confirmed what fans had long suspected, the wounds were real. And filming only poured salt into them. This wasn't just confession, it was admission. The Braxtons weren't playing roles for a check. They were bleeding publicly. Their generational scars broadcast as prime-time drama, and still, Towanda wasn't finished. She turned her gaze toward the audience, her voice cutting with authority. I can say something crazy about my sisters, but you better not. The chat froze. That warning wasn't entertainment. It was a boundary. Braxton business belonged to Braxtons. Fans could watch, speculate, and laugh. But using Traci's memory as a weapon? Unacceptable. In that moment, Towanda wasn't just a reality star, she was a grieving sister demanding respect. Then came the question that flipped the lid from tense to explosive. Why didn't y'all get paid like the Kardashians? The comparison fans had whispered for years was finally asked to her face. Towanda's reply was calm, but every word landed with force. She asked how anyone could claim to know their paychecks, reminding viewers that numbers aren't always public, that the wound was already open. The Kardashians built an empire from chaos, while the Braxtons gave the world their pain and never reached those financial heights. That question forced Towanda to confront an ugly reality. Her family's sacrifices had been consumed, but not rewarded, and as the chat erupted, Towanda revealed something most fans had never considered. She was already 36 when the show began. She and her sisters carried decades of sibling rivalries, responsibilities, and scars long before the cameras arrived. What the audience saw weren't just petty arguments, they were old wounds, ripped open for ratings. Suddenly, Braxton fights looked less like entertainment and more like trauma manipulated by producers, who didn't care about healing. Only drama. By the time she laughed with her husband near the end, cracking light-hearted jokes about family stories and skincare, it was too late. Fans weren't laughing with her anymore, they were dissecting every word. Twitter threads replayed her "We're not a cast, we're a family" line. TikToks broke down her warnings about editing. Instagram exploded with clips of her scolding the audience for disrespecting Traci's memory. The narrative had already shifted. Towanda's casual live had turned into a viral confession. What began as a defense spiraled into a cultural reckoning. Fans debated whether Towanda was protecting herself out of guilt or bravely exposing the machine that exploited them. Did her words honor Traci, or dismiss her struggles? And the biggest question of all, if editing shaped the Braxtons' reality, then how much of what fans believed for over a decade was ever real? Towanda didn't answer. She left the questions hanging, heavy and sharp. And that's why her lip didn't just trend for one night. It cracked the Braxton legacy wide open. But then came the moment that made the live most uncomfortable. Towanda Braxton's blunt message to the audience. She told fans to stop dividing the sisters with toxic narratives. "We're family," she said again, her voice heavy with exhaustion. "You're not supposed to pit us against each other." That line hit hard. It wasn't a plea. It was a scolding. Towanda wasn't asking anymore. She was demanding respect. Because while fans consumed the drama like entertainment, the Braxtons had to live with it long after the cameras stopped rolling. Her husband tried to crack jokes to lighten the mood, but even his laughter couldn't hide the tension. What Towanda was really saying was clear. The world had profited from their pain, laughed at their chaos, speculated on their relationships, but when the credits rolled, the family still had to pick up the pieces, and then came another nerve: money. That infamous question comparing the Braxtons to the Kardashians wouldn't go away. Towanda brushed it off, but the sting was obvious. Why didn't the Braxtons turn their family drama into an empire? Why did one family build billions while the other barely scraped reality TV checks? It wasn't just about salaries, it was about respect. Were the Braxtons undervalued because they were black women? Because their pain was treated as disposable instead of marketable? Towanda didn't have to say it outright. Her frustration said enough. The internet lit up instantly. The Braxtons gave authenticity. The Kardashians gave spectacle. But only one was rewarded like royalty. That comparison alone sparked endless debates online. Fans dragged networks, called out producers, and even blamed the sisters themselves for not demanding more. And then Towanda shifted again, delivering a twist no one expected. She reminded everyone of something cameras could never capture: life before contracts, childhood memories before fame, bonds formed long before producers entered the picture. No matter how many storylines were twisted, she said, the Braxtons had decades of love, struggle, and history binding them together. The world only saw pieces. The real story was written in years the cameras never touched. By the time the live edged toward its final minutes, the tone had shifted. This wasn't just Towanda defending herself anymore. It was her rewriting the Braxton legacy. She laughed with her husband, teased about family stories, even joked about music and beauty. But the heaviness never left. The audience couldn't unhear the confessions she had already made. The banter felt like a mask covering the wounds she had exposed. And that's why the lip didn't end with closure. It ended with questions. Did Towanda speak to protect her own reputation? Or was she bravely exposing how her family had been exploited? Was she defending Traci's honor? Or rewriting history to ease her guilt? Was she protecting Toni and Tamar? Or subtly calling out the network for turning them into caricatures? By the time she logged off, the comment section was chaos. Fans split into half praising Towanda for finally speaking, half accusing her of downplaying Traci's pain. But no matter which side they chose, one fact was undeniable. the Braxton story was no longer in the hands of producers. It was in the sisters' own voices. Towanda's live wasn't just another viral moment. It was a turning point, and if she was bold enough to open this door, the next question was unavoidable. Would Toni and Tamar respond? Would they confirm her claims or call her out? And if they did, what new secrets would spill into the light? One thing was certain, this wasn't the end. Towanda hadn't just started a conversation. She had started a war of narratives, and the Braxton family name would never be the same again when the live ended. The internet didn't calm down, it exploded. Hashtags with Traci Braxton's name trended worldwide. Clips of Towanda saying we're family, not a cast, were reposted thousands of times. And suddenly, all eyes turned to her sisters. For years, Toni Braxton had been careful, measured, deliberate. She wasn't the one to jump on live or throw shade online. Toni kept her brand polished. But now Towanda's revelations had dragged her into the spotlight. Fans began tagging her nonstop. Is it true your image was protected, while your sisters were made to look messy? Did producers cut your breakdowns to keep you looking strong? Toni's silence was deafening. Because in the world of celebrities, silence isn't neutral, it's fuel. The longer she stayed quiet, the more fans believed Towanda's version of events. Then came Tamar Braxton. Unlike Toni, Tamar never held back. She lived her truth loudly, through tears, tantrums, and triumphs. Her fanbase, the Tamartians, was fiercely loyal, but quick to call out betrayal. And now, with Towanda suggesting editing had manipulated her image, fans were torn. Would Tamar thank her sister for defending her? Or blast her for reopening old wounds? Blogs speculated daily. Some claimed Tamar was quietly liking shady posts on Instagram. Others swore she was preparing her own live, ready to set the record straight, and through it all, one name weighed heaviest, Traci Braxton. Even in death, her presence hung over everything. Towanda tried to defend herself, but fans couldn't erase the memories of Traci's tears. Her frustration, her struggle to be heard. Towanda's words forced an uncomfortable question: was Traci's pain exaggerated for television, or ignored until it was too late? That question cut deeper than any editing debate because it touched on guilt. Guilt her sisters might carry forever. The fandom turned into a battlefield. Old clips resurfaced. Fans pulled receipts not just against Towanda, but against every sister. Look at Toni ignoring Traci here. Look at Tamar dismissing her here. A decade of reality TV was suddenly on trial in the court of public opinion. Towanda might have thought she was defending herself, but what she really did was unleash a reckoning.